Hello, thanks for coming to London Centuries, the channel where I do human-powered journeys. And starting this one at Big Ben, as always, and it's an evening start for this one. Just going to be themed around King Arthur, the legendary King Arthur, he of the magic sword, and the wizard Merlin, Queen Guinevere, all that lot. And the round table too, the famous round table, mustn't forget that. All the knights could sit round it and everybody was equal. Of course, no one really knows, was Arthur real or not? Perhaps not, but let's not let that spoil our enjoyment. There's countless Arthurian legends and different versions of the stories. Now, there's lots and lots of places associated with King Arthur, but I thought I'd pick off two of them, because after all, it's just an excuse for a nice bike ride. So I'm heading for Tintagel on the north coast of Cornwall, aiming to pass through Glastonbury on the way, because legend has it that Arthur was conceived at Tintagel, and apparently Excalibur, his sword, originated in Glastonbury, or what is now Glastonbury. It's quite a long way, so that's why I'm setting off in the evening, hopefully arriving tomorrow afternoon sometime. So I'm crossing the river at Staines and heading out west. I don't like this route and this way of getting out of London. I'm only taking it because it's very direct. And it's getting dark. That little bit of light in the sky behind me is going to turn into dawn. Very, very dodgy videoing. Can you see the white horse? Probably not. Probably won't come out. But it's up there. Maybe it's just on the ridge, look, slightly to the left.
Hang on with my finger. There. White horse.
And that means that I'm in Wiltshire. Well, it's getting lighter. And that's a good thing. It's a very cold night. Look, I've got my gloves on. It's the middle of June and I've got gloves on. Lovely morning, actually. So what's the deal with King Arthur and Glastonbury, huh? Well, the way I understand it, the story goes that Arthur's magic sword, Excalibur, the one that was pulled out of the stone, was originally cast on the mythical island of Avalon. And Avalon pops up later in the story too, when Arthur has been mortally wounded in battle and he's taken back to Avalon to try to recover, which sadly he doesn't manage to do. And of course there have been lots of places identified the mythical island of Avalon, and one of them is Glastonbury Tor. And there we have it, Glastonbury Tor. Or could it be the mythical island of Avalon? Used to be an island, or so they say. Well, I got to Glastonbury slightly earlier than I'd expected, actually. There was nowhere open where I could get anything to eat or drink. I checked all the supermarkets, no cafe. So I'm really quite desperate for a cup of tea now. I need something to eat. Whoa, it's getting windy. Well, the wind brought the rain with it. And I'm making my way extremely slowly across North Devon. So hilly here. It's a full-on storm now. Yeah, this is a storm, alright. The wind is coming from the south, and I'm riding and kind of alternately going south and then west and then south and then west. So it's alternating between headwind and crosswind. Both ways it's hard work. Oh dear. Oh my word. It's obviously going to take me a lot longer than planned to get to Tintagel. I'm going like a snail. These conditions are absolutely atrocious. I'm trying to think of King Arthur stuff to take my mind off the general horribleness that I'm experiencing right now. And all I can think of was this time I was down in this part of the world years ago, before COVID, before the channel, and I heard this rather nice Arthur story. Maybe it's really well known and everything, but I didn't know it beforehand. I was taking my bike to the Isles of Scilly on the ferry that goes there. And by the way, the Isles of Scilly are not a good cycling destination. There's not enough roads there. If you can figure out some way of either swimming or paddling between the islands, it'd be fantastic for a waterborne human-powered journey, but not by bike. So if you've taken the boat to the Scilly Isles, you'll know the sea is very shallow down there. It's really easy to see the bottom. This comes into the story, and it goes that Arthur was being pursued. In fact, he'd been pursued all the way down the peninsula, you know, Devon and Cornwall, by his nemesis Mordred, the wicked Mordred. And back in those days, in magical time, there was no sea between Cornwall and the Scilly Isle. What's now the seabed was then a valley with villages and churches and stuff. So he's galloping along, and every time he looks over his shoulder, Arthur can see Mordred right there, getting closer every time. So Arthur calls on the magician Merlin to save him. And Merlin takes a look at the situation, and as Arthur reaches the land that's now the Isles of Scilly, hang on, this isn't going to work, is it? And as Arthur is reaching the land that's now the Scilly Isles, Mordred's just behind him, but is still in the valley, you see. So Merlin does the only thing possible. Using his magic, he floods the valley. Villages and all. It's a terrible thing to do, but it saves Arthur. And that's why there's sea separating Cornwall from the Scilly Isles. And also why, if you look down into the water there, you can see these shapes. It's the shapes of the houses and the churches and the villages and stuff. What I don't know is how this fits in, or maybe it doesn't, with the kind of the standard Arthur myths, because Mordred and Arthur have a battle, and Mordred mortally wounds Arthur, doesn't he? Well, here we have it. This is Tintagel. Well, the village is just up there. This is known as King Arthur's Castle. And whether it really had his castle on it or not, we don't know. I'm shooting this bit the next morning because when I got here yesterday afternoon, the mist was so appalling and you couldn't see a thing because of the rain. In fact, I don't know if you can hear that the storm is still going. The wind is still up, slowly dying away. At least the rain stopped about 20 minutes ago. So King Arthur's Castle at Tintagel. Looking pretty dramatic. And historically there was actually a castle on the rock over there. It's gone, it's ruined now. But it was kings of Cornwall who lived there. So I came down to the castle to get the best possible view, and the bridge is locked because I'm so early in the morning. Well, there you have it, Tintagel Castle. Legendary seat, legendary only, legendary seat of King Arthur. So thank you for watching that King Arthur ride. 418 kilometers in 22 pretty painfully slow hours. Thanks for watching London Centuries. I'll be back with more soon. Ride safely.